I'm the optimist here with this offense and everything. Throw cold water on it. Why could this look as maybe not as rosy as maybe a picture that I may be painting about the Seahawks offense, or why maybe concerns that you have with Darnold, this offensive fit, or just really the Seahawks infrastructure?
It's weird to watch. It's like, I feel like you usually say this about quarterbacks who aren't as physically talented as Sam, but Sam, I think it's fair to say Sam is like as good as the players around him. Ultimately, like that's what his output's going to be. Like when the Vikings offense was healthy and the offensive line was humming, obviously you got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. He looked like a Pro Bowl offense. I mean, we were having conversations last year on if the Vikings should keep Sam Darnold and figure out, a trade partner for JJ McCarthy. And then the offensive line got hurt and Sam looks like a disaster. He's not going to be the guy that really, that consistently carries the offense on his shoulders, which is funny because at times, like he does have the arm strength and the athleticism to make like some of those plays that really make you go, wow, like, man, if you could do that all the time, you would probably still be with the Jets, but he doesn't do it all the time, and that's that's why we're here. So I just get concerned. Honestly, it's the offensive line. There's still a work in progress there. Obviously, the Zabel pick was nice. Charles Cross is a solid player, but still got some work to be done there. But I think the biggest concern outside of that is I just don't like the construction of where they're at wide receiver just yet. I mean, we've talked about before the Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith and Jigba fit's a little awkward, and I just don't even know if Cooper Kupp is a player that like you need to be seeking out when you're trying to rebuild the team. So I do think Sam's a fine starter. I think he can be competent in the right situation. I think Clint Kubiak is going to be a good play caller. I just don't know if they have the talent to actually see this thing through where they don't get stuck in the mud more weeks than not.
I'm going to kind of give you a little harder. I don't know if it's harder, but it's more kind of scheme question here, Matt. How do you ideally use this receiver room? And how do you ideally use these skill players? Like, because that is something that's in all of our heads. Because we always mention it. We all of us, even me, who's optimistic about it. I'm like, I didn't love that signing. I did not. Like, I really did not. And I've liked other moves they did. But how would you actually get the most out of everybody? Kupp, MVS, JSN, Horton, the tight ends, who I'm actually excited about as well. But how do you envision like, okay, this is the best version of this?
Yeah, a lot of condensed formations to kind of hide the fact that we don't have a true perimeter player. Because I think you can do some things where Kupp and JSN, like I said, if they're both condensed, like tight to the line, and JSN's the outside receiver off ball and Kupp is the slot receiver on the line, like I think you can get away with that. And make both of those guys hard to press. I don't actually have too many concerns about JSN being an outside player. Like he's not going to be your X receiver. He's not going to be running like, deep vertical routes or anything like that, but he can be an outside receiver. He's always been a guy that I've been really high on in terms of like his ability to win and separate against man coverage. But Kupp at this point, man, I'm with Charles. Like, it's beyond the fact that, how do we line him up? Like, is he even a useful player anymore? I think based on who he was last year, maybe that's a little too harsh. I think he can be a useful player. I think he can specifically like get open in the flat and just be like, when Sam's brain starts to break down because of pressure, you just like that guy's going to be there and he's going to catch the ball and like we just move on to another play. But consistently like impacting the game, I think that's questionable at this point with Cooper Kupp. Like I just to be brutally honest, I just don't know that signing's going to work out all that well. I think he'll be there for 1 year and that will probably be it. Like that's about where he is at this point. So I think you can do some things with condensed formations to kind of hide those guys. And then hopefully Torrey Horton's good, but Torrey Horton's a 5th round pick. Like we like Torrey Horton, but I mean, they drafted him in the 5th round. You're asking a lot there. And he was also a guy that only lined up on one side of the field and comes from a lower level. It's not as if like, he was a banged up, guy from LSU and like, he's played, a lot of like pro style stuff. Like there's probably, even if he went in the 3rd round where I thought he could go, there's probably like, you need a season to get that guy up to bat. So then basically MVS is your sacrificial X receiver here. And honestly, beyond the wide receiver room, I don't even really know how the hell this backfield is gonna play out because the whole talking point with, we hired Clint Kubiak to revive a run game that's been pretty terrible, honestly, the last 3 years. I think both of these guys might be better gap run. Like statistically, they have been better gap runners than zone runners in Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. So there's a lot about this offense that I think I can get on board with the experiment and like the thought behind it. But I'm just curious, by week 7, like week 8, how are we going to be thinking about how all this fits together?
It's with Kupp, it's like there's other teams where he made so much more sense to me. And then with Seattle, it was like, okay, well, Jason's, it's too samey. Also, you guys have tight ends, because that's the beauty of Kupp too, or like the skill set that he brings, is that he could be a de facto tight end for you, even though you're technically in 3 wide receivers. So it's kind of like, I don't know, your hat on a hat, kind of like, all right, we already got this. We already got this at home. Like, we don't need to go out and get a different version of it. So that's why I kind of like it. That's the one sour taste I have. The thing with the offensive line, and I know we're talking about skill guys there. The O-line stuff, I think some of the blemishes will get kind of mitigated because of the offensive system. Like, even though I always have just some grain of salt with the Shanahan offenses and Kubiak offenses. They have their strengths, but some of the weaknesses, I think I don't like the drop back game all the way. It depends on which guy is calling it, but but shorthand version. But I think that does lift the floor because it's such a quote unquote safer offense. Like these offenses provide training wheels for the quarterback and the O-line. So that's where I think some of my optimism comes, is I think some of the blemishes won't be as bad with Sam. Like, I think they're pretty realistic about what he is, and not going like, yeah, we're going to have him chuck it 35 times and he's going to be dropping back every single time. We'll say that the Vikings drop him back a little bit more frequently than you would think, but that's also bringing up his worst qualities, because that's where he can spiral. Yes, he can get hot, but he also can spiral way far down. Like, this is why I think as totality of the whole team, they're going to have to lean on the defense, which I think is going to be a really good unit, because they have to stay in a run heavy script. They don't want to be dropping back. Like, this whole team cannot be dropping back. It's going to be really like a Wario version of the early Legion of Boom teams, like not as good, obviously. Those are all-time defenses, but the same philosophy. Defense first, zone runs, play action, go off of that. So like Seattle fans should actually be very comfortable in this kind of like philosophy that I think they're trying to go for, even if it's not all perfect. I just think that that's why I'm maybe higher than you guys, is that they still have strengths to their offense. Like, I really do. Like, I like Jason, and I do think this run game is going to be at least above average. And I think Darnold can have some highs. And I think just some of his worst tendencies will get kind of like, they won't be as glaring. Like, yeah, he's going to have some mistakes. They just won't be as crazy. I just kind of, I had my notes. For some reason, I wrote Cardinals and Jets. Oh, that's right. Last year, the run game, that was a great point that you brought up, Matt, that sometimes the gap scheme runs where those Charbonnet and Walker's banged up. But Charbonnet's best runs was the Cardinals game at Arizona and then the Jets game at New York. And then that's where you could really see some power and at-you runs and some duo and some polars. And it actually like really came together. So I would like to see Kubiak just like, keep your mind a little bit expanded rather than just going zone, heavy outside zone. They also have drafted a fullback, which is something I've kind of keep like waving away because I'm excited about. Yeah, I know. I'm so excited about Torrey Horton that I forgot about their other 5th round pick. But Robbie Outs from Alabama, 6'3", 274 pounds. What do we think this team is going to do? They drafted another tight end. They got 2 decent tight ends at the very least. So they have 3 tight ends and a fullback that they drafted in the 5th round. This team is pounding the rock and then just going shot plays. Then we can get in the speed that they have. But I don't know. They're a curiosity to me, and I think I'm staying bullish on them, even if I'm aware of the blemishes, and I think that's why I keep asking you guys, because I want you guys to keep pouring cold water on me, so I don't start saying outlandish shit as the summer wears on before the season starts.